Alright, YouTube. Welcome back to another episode of Frontier Michigan. And today is 1 year. 1 year of ownership of my 2024 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. And for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to call it 16,000 miles because I have 15,986 on the clock now. And by the end of the day, I am most certainly going to have 16,000 miles. It is what it is. Just gonna rock with it. So, 1 year of ownership. What do I think of the truck? I still think it's a great value. It really hasn't given me any issues. Shouldn't. It's brand new. It's only got 16,000 on the clock, so you expect it to be good. I still like it. I still like driving it. I think it's a good vehicle. It's solid. All of my general complaints that I had previously, are still there. I think the fender system could be a little bit better than what it is. Give us the ability to adjust the mid-range, and give us the ability to adjust the subwoofer independently of the bass adjustment. I think those two things right there would vastly make the system better. Truck still gets pretty good gas mileage. I'm going to be fuel mileage testing here soon. But, I still get 300-400 miles a tank easily. So all in all, still getting good gas mileage out of it for a truck. I don't have any weird noises or anything like that, or any funkiness, and it's held up great. Just watching for traffic, that's all. And over the past year, I've done some modifications to the truck, and we're gonna cover that and see how the truck is holding up. But in the meantime, this is just the little drive portion of the 1 year review, and truck still has great power behind it. I'll lay into the throttle, it goes. Still responsive, transmission still shifting and driving smooth. But, again, it should. It's only a year old. It's still relatively new. Sounds great with the setup that I got. And of course, you get all the benefits of a pickup truck. All the utility that comes with one. Yeah, it's a 5-foot box, but for what I need, a 5-foot box is not an issue. It serves my purposes. Some people would prefer a bigger box, which is fine. You can get a 6-foot box now on pretty much every trim for $20-25. So if you want a Pro-4X with a 6-foot box, $25 is your year to go get one. They're out there. I find the tech in the truck to be, I don't really use a lot of it, but what I do use, I find to be good. The stuff works when you need it to. I've had a few quirks here and there with the tech, but nothing that's uncommon to the platform. every once in a blue moon, you get that odd, forward collision error because the sun hit the sensor just right. I don't know if other brands suffer the same thing, but it is what it is. I think maybe the sensitivity on the forward collision sensors is just a skosh too high. We'll just call it that, just a skosh too high. Is it necessarily a bad thing? No, because, it's forward collision, and if you're paying attention, it's not really an issue. Yeah, it is what it is. Or, like, in the wintertime, the rear park sensors will get iced over, and it'll scream at me about that. But the good thing about the tech, there's a button to turn it all off. So it's not really an issue. Just turn it all off and drive it like a normal truck without the tech. So that's a good thing. I don't have to go through menus or anything like that to do what I need to do. I could just hit a button, turn the crap off, and we're good to go. I still, to this day, believe that the ride quality, the comfort of the seats to be fairly good. These are one of the very few seats, the Nissan zero gravity seats, where I could drive more than an hour and a half, 2 hours without my back hurting. I don't exactly have a back that's in the best shape, but I've had vehicles where I couldn't drive more than an hour without it hurting my back. These seats are fairly comfortable. Could they use a bit more side bolstering? Yeah, they could. It's not a sports car, but at the same time, some extra bolstering would be good for the off-road use. When you get, off camber and all that, you got a little support. That's really my only gripe with the seats. They could use a little bit more side bolstering. But beyond that, I have no issue with them. So, and I gotta mention it, I have no problem with the steering either. I find the steering to be adequately weighted, though the steering ratio might be a little on the slower side, and that's probably what people are complaining about when they say that it's too heavy. But at the end of the day, it's a pickup truck. You don't want a fast ratio in a truck, especially if you're hauling or towing something, because any movement you make in that wheel translates to your tires, and if you jerk the wheel, it will upset the truck and it will upset what you're towing. So the fact that it's got a slower steering ratio than some other trucks in its class actually works out as a benefit in this case. And that slower ratio gives you more steering control off-road, so you can better place the front of the truck. Now, I don't really have a whole lot of experience with faster ratio vehicles. I've only off-roaded, my 06 Canyon. I've off-roaded my 03 S10 ZR2. I've off-roaded a 2014 Grand Cherokee Laredo that had electrically assisted steering and felt pretty light and fast with the ratio there. So I don't really know how much of an advantage the slower ratio would give off-road with the Frontier. I haven't really off-roaded it yet. And I say yet because I still do need to get everything to lift it, and maybe we'll get out and start hitting the trails and all that. Is what it is, Now, I will say this is probably another complaint, and it's more of a nitpick on my end than like an actual fault against the truck itself. And it's the piano black trim that's in here. I don't know if you guys have ever had vehicles in the past with piano black trim, but that stuff scratches quite easily. It's not the most durable thing. Scratches show up, and in the case of the Frontier here, the piano black isn't just a piano black, it's got a bit of a metallic flake in it as well. Which, you know, yeah, it's kind of cool. The wheels match the piano black, but at the end of the day, I think the plastic they use is just a little soft and it's prone to scratching. Now, mine's not like scratched up. Like I've seen some people's online, like on Facebook groups or whatever. But I do have a couple scratches here and there. All the positive things that I've said about the truck at, you know, my initial review, the 6-month review that I did, and now at a year, all the positives that I've mentioned still hold at 1 year. I think overall, for the value, the Frontier is just a smart buy. You know, even fully loaded, like a fully loaded Pro-4X or a fully loaded SL, you're still coming in at a cheaper price point than literally every other competitor in their top trim. You know, the Gladiator Rubicon could touch $64,000. The Tacoma could go 64 or even higher with the TRD Pro and the Trailhunter. The ZR2 could touch mid-50s. The Ranger Raptor, mid to upper 50s there. And, you know, if you want to count it, the Ridgeline, you know, its top trim fully loaded is low to mid-50s. Meanwhile, you got the Frontier that fully loaded, you're maybe a hair over 50. And that's with the price creep that Nissan has added over the years. And when the 25s came out, the base price of the Pro-4X went up $3,000. So that, you know, prices crept up a little bit. But I still think, all said and done, you're getting a lot of truck and a lot of value for the money. You know, you still get a fantastic naturally aspirated V6 as paired to a proven 9-speed transmission. Yeah, the 9-speed had some issues when they first brought it to Nissan. You know, a recall for them coming out of park and rolling away, a couple TSPs for like programming, or, you know, a sensor issue. But all of that has been corrected by 2023. So as long as everything's been done on the truck, the recalls and the TSPs have been done, I have no issue with saying that this 9-speed would last a long time. Now, it is a Mercedes-based 9-speed, so you're talking something like Mercedes 722.9. So it's a little bit more complicated of a transmission compared to something else. Let's say a 10R80 or a 10L80 or something like that from GM or Ford. But it shifts smooth, it shifts relatively fast, it's efficient for what it is. I would just say at the end of the day, it's a proven transmission. The V6 is proven, the VQ38. Now, some people will complain that it's only direct injection, but, you know, run a good quality oil, run quality fuel. You know, if you really want to go there, throw a catch can on it, which, you know, I do eventually plan on getting a catch can. I've had good luck with them in the past, catching a few ounces of oil between oil changes. And, you know, a lot of people say there's snake oil, but at the end of the day, if you catch a few ounces of oil, then that's less oil going back through the intake. And I don't know if you guys know this, oil doesn't burn particularly well. So when you get oil introduced in the combustion chamber and you try to burn it, it actually induces knock. So from a performance standpoint, or just simply a efficiency standpoint, by cleaning up your barn, you know, there's no harm in adding a catch can if it means making the truck run just, you know, that much better. It goes a long way. And then, of course, you know, you could do the Italian tune-ups where you take her to red line a few times, you know, every once in a while. Waiting for this car behind me to pass because they're being impatient. A little Malibu. Come on. A catfish looking Malibu. Riding my tail. Which is fine, because you know what? I do have a dash cam coming from Wolfbox. So, yeah, I just teased a video and possibly an install there. But anyway, I'm going to go find a spot to hang out real quick so I can show you how things have been holding up over the past year. So, what's going to be a while for me is only going to be a second for you guys. So, see you in a bit. I'll go to my spot. We'll talk about the truck more and how it's holding up, and I'll show you some things that I have noticed. So, yeah. So we'll see you guys in a sec. All right. So here's part 2 of the video. Things that I've noticed over the year with the truck. Some of these are not so great. Some of these are, okay, cool. So, let's start with the bad things first. Just to get them out of the way. Fog lights. The 3D printed brackets here have completely sun faded. So I think when it comes time to do the bumper, I'll end up pulling these out and painting them. Decide if I want a color match or if I just want to go black. This is not as bad just because of how I park and where the sun is in the sky. Let's see, the wheels. I don't know if this one's got any of it on it, but the wheels are starting to show corrosion underneath the clear coat. And it's only been a year, one Michigan winter, but I know there's a spot on these wheels. Like down here, I think 3 of the 4 wheels are starting to show spots like that, and this is underneath the clear coat because it's smooth. Or like right there, which, you know, I'm not super worried about it because I'm going to be changing these wheels anyway. But still, at a year, you shouldn't be having corrosion getting underneath the clear coat. So that's kind of a bit of a fail there, Nissan. But like I said, I'm not super worried about it because I'm changing the wheels anyway. ultimately, as far as the exterior goes, it might be some of the worst. And PPF still doing pretty good. I think on the driver's side, I got a spot that's above the PPF, where the PPF took some damage. Let me take a look. Where was it? I got a couple chips up here. A little bit of paint chips, but I'm going to order a paint pen for that. Might be worth extending the PPF. Oh, right there. Got a nice hard chip right there. That one actually dug into the metal a little bit. So before winter, I need to take care of that. Clean it out really good. Fill it in with paint. So before we get another really salty winter, that definitely needs to get taken care of, as well as these. So yeah, so as far as like the worst things, as far as how a truck is held up, those are pretty much the worst spots. You know, they're minor, but at the same time, the truck's only a year old. And for all the trolls out there, no, I'm not trading it in for a Tacoma. You'll never convince me the Tacoma is a better truck. If we're talking maybe third gen, I guess it's like a third gen Tacoma versus a second gen Frontier, sure, we can make the argument there. Third gen Frontier versus third gen Tacoma, absolutely not. Third gen Frontier smashes it. Third gen Frontier against a fourth gen Taco, it's a toss up there. Depends on how you use the truck. So, moving on. Mods done to the truck. Just to recap everything. So, behind here I do have the 4D Tech Auto Start Stop Eliminator, which is kind of like redundant at this point because I disabled the variable voltage charging system, which also disabled the auto start stop. I have the Nismo Z red start button. I have my aux beam light panel, which I will be adding more lights at some point. Let's see, what else did I do? I rearranged the buttons. The ones I'm most likely to use are going to be up top. A couple blanks down there. Got the tonneau cover, which has actually been pretty decent. I got my Missology bed mat, which now that it's warmer is finally laid flat. That's been holding up pretty good. Got my LED lights in the third brake light housing there. See, the cargo lights are on. Got the Z1 off-road storage bin. So I got extra room for all my junk. That's about it really for the interior stuff. Moving on. I got the Z1 grill lights. People call them Raptor lights, but realistically they're not because the Raptors only have 3. I got the Z1 intake as well as the intake spacer. part of the aux beam here. This is the actual switch assembly. This uses solid state relays, so you don't gotta worry about relays blowing out. I got this is my own modification that I made. It's a Dial Dynamics rock light that I set up to use as an underhood light. And this is magnetic. Goes wherever. And I have enough harness tucked up under there that I can place it anywhere really. Got the Z1 hood struts to give me a little bit more space. As far as the under hood goes, that's really about it. Got the ECU Tech Ecotech tune. Just level 1 because, just level 1 really. Just to kind of bring it together a little bit. Got my Dial Dynamics hitch mount light that doubles as a 4th brake light and reverse. Now that the truck has crossed 16,000 miles, I'll show you the exhaust. Which, a little bit of rust, but this section here is actually the hottest part other than the cat, so a bit of rust is expected. But the vibrant muffler itself, pretty much pristine as it goes back and over. Got the tailpipe there, coming up and over the axle. Reusing the stock hangers. But yeah, modifications are holding up pretty well, and I engineered this exhaust back in late November, early December. It's been holding up. So if you got a little bit of welding skills and know your way around some piping, feel free to copy that setup. Truck's a little bit dirty, don't mind that. It's full of bugs. Typical Michigan summer. But yeah, other than some little things here and there, truck's held up pretty great over 16,000 miles. Runs great, drives great, rides great. Everything you expect. Couple little things I need to address before winter. Definitely gonna be replacing these tires before winter, because I was not impressed on the previous winter. Not impressed at all. I am going to get the Coopers. I'll probably get the stock size for now while I get everything together for the lift. That way I at least have a better tire for the winter that I can be safer on the road with while I get everything. And if I like how the Coopers do through the winter, then I will definitely get them in a 33-inch size. If I'm not impressed with the Coopers, then I'll probably end up going with the General ATXs. But like I said in the first part of the video, definitely one of the best values out there is for the mid-size truck market. Get a lot of truck for less money than the competition. Now, if only the Japanese brands would do what the American brands do with their off-road trims and give you a front locker as well. Ranger Raptor ZR2, 84X, Rubicon, all give you front and rear lockers in their highest off-road. You know, they give you front and rear lockers. Toyota, Nissan, you're lagging. Not having a front locker out of the factory in your top off-road trim is not a good thing. But, big but, that can be fixed through the aftermarket. $1,000 I could put a front locker in on the R180, or I could swap the Titan's M205 and put a locker in that. Now I know, the M205 out of the Titan is a significantly stronger axle and front diff. And I like the flange style CV shafts better on the M205. But that doesn't mean I can't have some fun with the R180. So, all in all, loving the truck. 16,000 miles. We crossed it on the way back up here. 1 year. Highly recommend. If anybody's in the market looking for a truck and wants a great value to cost ratio, please look at the Frontier. It is a solid buy, especially if you want something a little bit more old school, more analog. You know, it's got hydraulic steering, which makes it analog feel. You know, it's got leaf springs in the rear. Some of the competition has a multi-link with coils. You know, Tacoma has that set up. Gladiator has the multi-link with coils. Ranger Raptor has, I believe, the multi-link with coils. But, you know, the good old-fashioned Leafs work just fine, and the way it's set up actually rides quite well. So, anyway, it's a beautiful day. We're in the 70s. We got a breeze. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my day. I hope you guys do the same, wherever you may be. You know, get yourself a nice cold drink. Get out there, enjoy the day. This has been a Frontier, Michigan 1 year review of the 2024 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. And I will see you guys on the next one.